I'm definitely harder on my brother because we're brothers, right? You know, we grew up together. He knows what I'm thinking. He knows what's in my head. We know each other very, very well. We shared a room for, most of our lives. You know, we lived together. So for sure, we know each other at another level. My name is Firas Zahabi. I'm the head trainer of the TriStar Gym and also the head trainer of my brother, Aiemann Zahabi.
He's been looking out for me since I was a toddler. Like, I was always in his arms. Anytime we'd go anywhere, he'd always be carrying me on his shoulders. Very protective of me.
And now in his professional career, I'm still there taking care of him. I'm his martial arts trainer. I'm his jiu-jitsu coach. I'm his wrestling coach. I'm his striking coach. I'm his dietitian.
He's very hard on me. I like to think of it like he's the blacksmith and I'm the steel. You know, and sometimes he has to put me in the fire and he has to hammer me into the sword, so he raised me to be a, strong man. When the first UFCs came out, my brothers couldn't believe how Royce Gracie beat all these giants. Like, Royce Gracie's not a tiny guy in general, but was no weight classes at the time. It was open weight. So some guys weighed 300 pounds. Some guys weighed 250 pounds. And Royce Gracie's at 170 pounds. He looks tiny compared to them.
Not only did he win, he won in a dominant fashion over and over again. He won 3 fights that night. He was crowned champion a second time. I was shocked to my core. I'm like, that little guy beat those guys? It seemed impossible to me. At that point, I was completely hooked on jiu-jitsu. I had to learn what this is. Yeah, put his legs away from the fence. Turn to your left. Yeah, that's it. Don't let his legs touch the fence.
Being bullied is kind of a normal part of growing up, especially if you're a boy. My parents, their solution was to take us to a karate studio and have us learn how to defend ourselves. My name is Aiemann Zahabi. I hold a PhD in molecular biology. I have a BJJ black belt, and I'm Aimann's older brother.
I was getting beat up at school. I was getting beat up by my brothers. I go to school, get beat up, come home, get beat up.
Aiemann and Tarek would beat him up constantly. Anytime they were watching a TV show, if the commercial was on, they would just start beating him up for the 2 minutes that there's commercials until the show's back on so that they don't get bored. So they started doing karate, and my brothers were doing really well, and they were able to defend themselves, and they became very confident.
It was like the solution to all my problems, and I was all in all the time. I was training day and night. I would go home, and I would start drilling on my brothers.
Firas is like the general, right? He's the one who introduced us to jiu-jitsu. He's the one who also kept us good at it.
TriStar Gym was mainly a kickboxing gym. And then as jiu-jitsu was developing, I started teaching people jiu-jitsu. My classes started to get packed, more packed than the kickboxing classes. Actually, jiu-jitsu swept the nation. Everybody wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. So all of a sudden, most members now are signing up to train with me.
And then Firas was doing such a good job as a coach. One of his students was like, why don't you buy the gym?
I'd saved up money as best I can, but I was still very young. And my father, he knew how hardworking and disciplined I am. He knows I'm in here in this business every day, all day long. So I think for him, he had the confidence to do it. And he mortgaged his house, gave me a loan.
Started with a small percentage, and over the years, he bought more and more of the gym until now he's the sole owner. I'm proud of my parents, too, for taking that risk. They didn't have many assets. They had, I think, 2 taxis at the time and the house, right? And they put up one third of their assets on the line for their, 20-something-year-old son to take a risk.
The guy grabbed onto my leg. I want to bring my feet down to the floor and hips to his hips. Now you cannot pummel.
I started training at TriStar when I was like 12, going on 13.
You could say forced upon him, but eventually he started to have to learn martial arts as well.
Firas was very clever in motivating him to come to the gym.
Because he poured so much time into me, I got really good really fast. And by the time I was like 15, 16 years old, I started giving advice to guys fighting in the UFC. And by the time I was 18, I was cornering guys in the UFC. So I hadn't even fought yet. But, it's like, it was really interesting because I had this depth of knowledge. For us, also, was so busy training George St. Pierre, David Loiseau, like the bigger names. So I would replace Firas's classes, and I would give people advice, and I would start holding pads for everybody. And being Firas's assistant coach brought me up to speed to the world-class level at a very young age.
Pumps we were doing and all the
At the time, Aiemann was studying, and I thought that's the path he was going to take. But at the same time, I also knew he was training.
I was going to Vanier College, and I ended up graduating Vanier with honors, and I got accepted to McGill to be in the commerce. But then I started courting so many fighters so often that I couldn't keep my head in the books. I was distracted with watching tape and doing technique, and I went from having good grades to my grades dipping. I started thinking to myself, like, if I'm cornering all these world-class guys, why don't I take the risk? My opportunity to fight's not always going to be here.